Oh. You're on the right class, right? Yes. There we go. Oh, look at that. Hey, I see a few of you poking in there, so let me know if you can hear me okay. So, we'll get started here in about 5 minutes on Inferential Statistics, BSAD265. I'm Pat, so I am your instructor for this course. If you're here, I'm assuming you're in the right spot. There we go. Hey, Harley, welcome back. That was fast. So, oh my God, you've got me twice this semester. So, I'm sorry. You're going to be spending some time on the YouTubes with me here, huh? Wow. Yeah, I'm sorry. I feel bad for you already. Oh, well, that's okay. We'll have fun. We'll have fun. Lexi, how are you? Okay. Well, thanks for the compliment. I don't know if you'll feel that way in like 3 weeks, Harley. Oh, okay. Well, just keep asking great questions. Yeah, and I'll get sick of you eventually. So that's fine. This class is a little different than the other one. So in terms of like the pacing and things like that, this one's much more flexible in terms of like how you do the work, when you do the work, things like that. Hi, Morgan. How are you? So, welcome aboard. It is afternoon. Look at that. First day just melts off the clock. So, spring semester kind of like that, though. I don't know about you all, but fall semester always seems like, well, I don't know. There's parts of spring semester that seem to drag. But like I'd say like the first 4 or 5 weeks of fall semester just seem to like go so slow. So I'm doing great, Lexi. I had a great break. I hope you did too. I had a very peaceful break, very laid back. Not so much on the family gatherings and things like that. So I got off the hook on a couple of those this Christmas, which was kind of nice. So we just spent some time with the family, in the household and things like that. And then, a little bit of extended family, but nobody came from out of state like they usually do and stuff. So that was pretty cool. Not to say that's a bad thing, but, it was a nice break, I guess. If you're looking for silver linings on things, I found mine. And then I watched a ton of TV, an absolute unhealthy amount of TV during the break. It was glorious. It was absolutely glorious. So that, and actually, I think I spent more time on YouTube than I did on actual TV lately. That's just been kind of my modus. That's like how I like my content anymore. But I hope yours was restful as well. Because, spring semester is going to be a little bit of a challenge this year. So we're just going to have to see how it goes. Yeah, it definitely went by faster. And that's true for me, too. Just because, like, I don't know. I do the Netflixy binge thing from time to time, and all of a sudden, like 3 days melts off the calendar. You know, because I was like, oh yeah, I've never caught up on Yellowstone. Now I'm all caught up. So, you know, and then there was a bunch of movies that I just had to clean out over the last like 3-4 years that I hadn't seen. So, yeah, it did go fast. So, I'm thinking spring semester is going to go pretty fast though, because of the way that they have things set up this semester. So we're 100% online for at least the 2 weeks of the semester. And then spring break isn't until like something in April. It's like April 19th or something like that. Oh, no, that's absolutely fine with the rando username. That's absolutely no worries on that. We'll talk about that here in just a sec. But anyway, spring break is like late April, and then we're all online all the way to the end of the semester. So, like, usually the run up towards the end of spring semester goes kind of fast. I think this year it's going to go like lightning speed, just because of like the way that they have things set up, which is a little bit different than usual. So, but that's okay. Yeah, I agree. It was a pretty good show. It took me a while to get involved in it. My brother kept poking me for years, like, "Oh, you got to watch Yellowstone. You got to watch Yellowstone." And then finally, so you know, I had a good 3-4 weeks off here, and so yeah, once I got hooked on, I was like, okay, let me murder this off, and then you know, it's like didn't take a bath for 3 days or something, you know, and all of a sudden the show's done. So it's like realize it's like, wow, you know, if you really try hard, you can binge out 40 hours of TV pretty quick. Oh, it's gonna zoom by, yay, zoom, yeah. So. Anyway, let's get started here and we'll talk about that. You know, it looks like we've got quite a few folks here, and that's awesome to see. This is a pretty big class to do online, and so it's actually, they're split into 2 sections. And I don't know how many people are registered in the second section, but I think the first section is almost full now, so that should put us right around 24, 25. If not higher, because I always say, yeah, you know, come one, come all. But, you know, we've got enough people here, so we'll just go ahead and get started on this one. So my name is Pat. Welcome to BSAD265 Inferential Statistics with CSU Pueblo HSB. And this class, I'm just going to get out there and say it right off the bat. This is a math class. So you're here to do math. And there are 2 statistics courses that you have to take in the program here. 265 Inferential Statistics is the first one, and then 360, that's the Advanced Statistics one. I don't teach that one anymore, at least I haven't for a couple of years, and so my whole goal with this class is to get you ready for that class with Dr. Holman. But also, if you haven't engaged in a math class in a little while, it's time to brush up on some of those quantitative skills, and so that's something that I look forward. Oh, it's good to see you too, Blake. And so that's something that it's very good to see you. So that's something that is my goal in this class, is to actually get you used to quantitative thinking, problem solving, and you know, maybe on a little bit on the other side is using inferential statistics to solve some business problems. But that's going to be baked into pretty much everything that we do in this class. So there's no projects in this class. There's no midterm. There's no final. It's steady work in terms of math all the way through the full 16 weeks. This is a 16-week course, which is a blessing for you all. So some people, some very, very crazy or extremely math confident people, you know, take this class in the 8-week format. It's my personal opinion that this class, especially if math is something like you, it intimidates you a little bit, like it did for me for years, then this is a much, much better format over the long run than taking the 8-week class. So I'm glad to have you here in the 16 weeks version, because we'll have lots of time to chew through the rather substantial amount of work that you're going to be doing for this class. All right, and so the way the live streams work here, first of all, thank you for being here on YouTube. I do like doing these on YouTube as opposed to Zoom. I have done a little bit of the Zoom in the past, even before COVID hit. HSB, we were experimenting with Zoom. I like Zoom for certain things, but when it comes to things like math, and when it comes to particularly protecting your privacy, I think YouTube does a much better job of that than Zoom. Just because, you can see my basement, but I can't see yours, and that's fine by me. So, and at the same point in time, like using a rando username is absolutely fine. All right, for this class. We do have a chat box here. If you have questions, punch them in the chat box during what we're doing today. I will get it to you. It's like raising your hand and asking the question at the same time without interrupting everybody. So it's really cool. So, but the same thing is true with the chat box. The chat box is only here during the live session. When it uploads, which it'll upload almost immediately after we end the live stream, I have it set so that the chat box it will not be in there, okay, if you watch the replay later, and that's to protect your privacy as well. So if you're using a username that has your actual name in it, that's absolutely fine. It won't be uploaded to the web, all right. So, and then if you like I said, if you have a rando username, that's fine too. Okay, so just tell me what to call you while we're doing kind of the one-on-one stuff here. Okay, so but Inferential Statistics will be using YouTube for at least the first 2 weeks. All right, and the way that the sessions work is attendance is 100% optional. Okay, the class is absolutely set up in a way where you can do every last bit of work in this class on your own, if you so choose, or you can pace with me, all right, because I will be doing the exact same work with you, side by side, step by step, all the way through the entire class, all the way to the end. So you can either use me as the pace car, or you can just have at it and run all the way through the class, as soon as you choose to dive into it. It's totally fine with me. There's only 2 due dates in this class for the work, and we'll talk about those when we get up to the syllabus here in just a second. But this class is a little bit different than probably most of the classes that you've taken in college or in HSB, or if you've taken my organizational behavior class. This one's paced very differently than that one as well. And the whole class is designed for 100% maximum flexibility on your part. Okay? Hey, Julius, how are you? So it's good to see you. So this is, like I said, it's going to be a math class. And so the problem with teaching a math class, and particularly in a business program as opposed towards like a gen ed or say like a program like engineering where math is required at the very beginning. I know that this class it's a little bit flexible in terms of when you take it, even though it's a 200 level class. Some people save it all the way till like their senior year, and they're going to do this one and the next one right behind it and knock out all the stats in one blow. Or in some cases, you'll take this class, but then you won't take 360 for a couple more semesters, and so it's not quite as structured. And likewise, some of you are probably coming from, say, a community college program where you transferred in your math credits and it's been several years since you took like a basic algebra course or something like that. Or in other cases, some of you just took it like last fall, and so this stuff is real fresh. And so from my perspective, we have a lot of different people coming from a lot of different backgrounds and a lot of different levels of comfortability in terms of how confident you are in your own quantitative skills. And so I try and make the class as flexible as possible. All right, so if you're ready to run right out of the gate, have at it. If you need to go step by step with me, that's fine too. I got your back either way. Okay, now again, this semester is going to be very, very interesting with COVID. And so the school has decided not to make a decision on how many of us are going to be able to come back to class and things like that for at least another 2 weeks. So we are online here for the first 2 weeks. It's my goal to actually get some FaceTime in after that. And so the class is listed as a hybrid, which means that if we can, we will have some face-to-face time. But I'm going to tell you right now that face-to-face time is 100% optional, okay? So you do not have to come to class. You do not have to come down to HSB in order to take this class and finish it. And so if you decide that, hey, I'm cool with doing this 100% online for the rest of the semester, I'm telling you that it is perfectly fine by me. If you do struggle with math and you do need a little bit of face-to-face time, the YouTube actually works really well for this. We did this last fall, and I think it worked great. I got really good feedback on it. But I'm also available for individual one-on-one time. There's a lot of tutors out there who are looking for work as well. And then last but not least, if we can get some face-to-face time down at the campus, I'm going to reserve at least one of the days of the week for that, if it's possible. I'm going to tell you right off the bat that I'm not terribly optimistic about that, just because, well, first of all, Pueblo's under what we call level orange right now. I had to look this up between this class and the last one because I wasn't quite sure what was going on. So, but apparently we're on level orange, which as far as the campus, what that means is that we can only have 25% operations, and I'm pretty sure that the campus is going to reserve those 25% operations for lab classes. So if you're in AIM, if you're in the engineering program, if you're in the nursing program, something like that, they're probably going to get first dibs on class times before a class like this one does. Same thing if you're in the IT program or the cybersecurity program. I'm pretty sure that they're going to get first dibs on class time before this class will, because we're still technically a lecture-based class. Now, that being said, this class, it will have some lecture in it, but, you know, it's going to be very much so geared towards, like, taking it step by step very slowly. And if that pace isn't fast enough for you, like I'm telling you, you can go as far as you want and then say, okay, I'm jammed up on something. And then you can still pop in the live streams here and ask me an advanced question that's way down the road. I will answer it, okay? But just understand that, like, my priority with the lectures that we'll be doing here on YouTube is to cover everything step by step. And then we'll always have some time at the end of it, okay? Because I'll only do that for maybe half an hour or so. And then after the end of that, it'll be open season questions. So if you have something that's way down the road in like chapter 10 or something like that, you can ask me that question. I'll answer it. Okay? So, but the lecture start is at least the beginnings of the lectures will be focused on me working on the piece that I'm working on. And then, you know, if that's not something you're interested in at that point in time, that's okay. Just hang around, pop a question in there. I will get to it. All right? So for something that's further down the road. So let's dive into the meat of the class here. So we're going to do everything online with Blackboard and a program called ALEKS, which is offered through McGraw-Hill Connect. That is the only thing you have to pay for in this class. So I looked, and the bookstore didn't have a book listed for this class, which is a good thing, because in the past some people have run out and bought like a $70 or $80, or in one case like a $165 book that you don't need to buy for this class. You do not need a book. All you need is access to ALEKS. You don't need a fancy calculator for this class either, although if you did, I think it's Math 109, they give you a calculator that works pretty good in this class, but you don't need it. Okay, so that stuff's all included with the McGraw-Hill package. All right, so let's just dive in. I don't post announcements very often in this class, other than the links to the live stream, like this one right here. When we're live streaming for the first 2 weeks on Mondays and Wednesdays, I'll post the link up about 5-10 minutes before class. You can feel free to hop in there, but we'll get started basically at class time. And so these are all on my YouTube channel. You can just go to my YouTube page as well, and you'll see the live stream pop up there. You can even set it for the notifications so that it'll take you right to it. That's fine too. I don't need your subs. YouTube doesn't cut me checks, so the university does. So, okay, so you absolutely positively need to get ALEKS by February 1st. Okay, so we need to have you plugged in and do the initial assessment by February 1st. That's a very good question, something that we'll cover in a little bit more detail, and I'll show you how to do everything here today. Okay, so but you do need to get ALEKS by then. If money is an issue, you can contact ALEKS, and I think they'll give you like a 30-day thing before you do it, but I'm not quite sure if they're still doing that. I've seen people do it in the past where you get like a temporary code, and then eventually they cut you off and say, no, you got to pay for it right now. But yeah, the answer is to that question is February 1st, so you got a little bit less than 2 weeks. In order to get that actually knocked out. Okay, so but again, back to announcements. I don't post very many announcements in this class, and you'll see why in just a few minutes. But I will post the links to the live streams and email those out. Or again, you can get on my YouTube channel and see them pop up there. That's fine too. What was I joking about? Oh yeah, I don't need your subs or your likes. The university cuts my checks. not YouTube. So, but anyway, so that's the announcements tab here. Getting started, just boilerplate stuff. I'll let you read that on your own. Here's our syllabus right here. So once you're in Blackboard, just click on this guy, and it'll take you directly to that. That's my contact information up there. I'm not going to dox myself here, so feel free to peruse that. That is my cell phone number there, so absolutely feel free to ping me. If you call me, I'm not going to answer it because I don't know who you are. Okay, leave me a voicemail. You can text me, but the same thing. Tell me who you are. Say I'm blah 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 in your BSAD265 class. Cool. All right. So and then ask your question. I'll get back to you real quick. Email is best, especially if it's not a burning dumpster fire. Send me an email. I'll get back to you within 24 hours. Okay, so class meeting structure, the hybrid course, and so yes, we're going to be doing at least half the work online. Like I said, you can do all of the work online. That's fine by me. If we are allowed to actually have on-ground sessions, it's my goal to actually have some lab sessions. Those are not mandatory. Those are just if you really need some help. Okay, so yeah, it's $40. Yeah, it's $40. And you can get the access code at the bookstore, or you can just go directly to the McGraw-Hill site and pay for it with credit card. Either one's fine. Like some cases you can't do that because of like athletics and financial aid, things like that. But if you go to the bookstore, they should have cards in there that you can use. Although, nobody's going on campus right now, so I don't know what they're doing. With that. So, I mean, personally, if you got $40 on a credit card, I would just do that, knock it out real quick, unless you're on a book plan or something like that. I'm not quite sure exactly how that works. So, but, it beats the heck out of paying $200 for a brand new textbook. So, yeah, I hope you can appreciate that. All right. So, again, hybrid course. Expect to spend a couple hours a week working on this course. You don't have to, all right? So you can space out the work however you want. I'm not here to tell you how to manage your time. So, but when it comes down to it, this course does have a little bit higher failure rate than my other courses. And the reason for that is some people just disengage from the course, and then eventually they realize, oh my God, there's a lot of work to do. And the answer is, yeah, you do have to do all the work in this class. Okay, this class, my one philosophy that permeates all my classes is that, if I ask you to do the work, I expect you to do the work, and you need to do the work in order to actually pass the class. All right, so you get points for whatever you accomplish, and, you get a million extra chances and things like that. But push comes to shove, if you get all the way to the end of the semester and you need to actually do a lot of work, and you come to me and try and negotiate that down, you're going to get a firm no on that. Okay, so this class is like rowing the channel. So we start in France, you got to make it to England. If you don't make it to England, you don't pass the class. So it's very simple. All right, prereqs for this class, Math 101. My understanding is 109 works as well, and then maybe 121. But my understanding is that there's actually several substitutes for this one here. If you haven't had a previous math class and you're trying to take this one concurrently, I would strongly recommend you do not do that. Okay, this class is a lot of work, and it does move at a faster pace than some of those. But at the same point in time, if it's been a couple years where you've done math and, so you're trying to take both these concurrently, I think Sarah and I have got an agreement that we don't let people do that unless it's really special circumstances. So make sure that you have one of those prereqs under your belt. Or one of the substitutes for this guy right here before you try and do that class and this class. Unless you're just an academic superhero, that would be awesome, and you would totally have my support behind you on that one. But I've just seen enough people try and do that in the past and not make it that I'm very reluctant to give anybody any approvals for those. All right, so if you're falling in that category, please touch base with me. We'll talk about it. But at the same point in time, I really want you to have one of those prereqs done before you get here. Okay. All right. Oh, it is open, huh? Interesting. So, I was under the impression that I know I'm not even allowed on campus for the next 2 weeks. So, if there's people who are trapped on campus right now, I imagine the bookstore would be open. But that's interesting. So, yeah, it's going to be a weird semester, and so I'm going to just try and keep it as cool and as chill as I possibly can. Definitely look at sorry, I'm not trying to butt in here, but when it comes to buying books, if you have classes out there that, you know, are requiring new text and things like that, Chegg has always been my go-to one. So, or Amazon Rentals. All right. So, because there are textbook manufacturers out there that are specifically designed to gouge you guys out of dollars. So as a business professor, I can kind of call that one out. So this class is not one of them. All right, so anyway, that's our prereq requirement. Moving on, you will need access to ALEKS through McGraw-Hill. I'll show you how to do that here real quick. Here's our course code. I've seen that several of you have already signed up. Good on you. Okay, these textbooks here are completely optional. You do not need to buy these. It's just in the past people have said, hey, I'd like to have a hard text to go with this class. Well, here you go. All right, and there's links to you know, where you can get them. I do not lecture out of the book. I do not assign work out of the book. I do not really expect you to do anything out of the book because there is no book for this class. All you need is this ALEKS course code. And one of the reasons for that is, I mean, it's statistics. Everything that we're doing here is over 100 years old. You know, because it's like math, it doesn't change, man. And I mean, anything that you can find online to help you with this class is absolutely fair game. Okay, so I mean, the Blackboard site is full of calculators and spreadsheets and things that I've developed in the past or students have found in the past and say, hey, this is a really cool way to solve this problem. All that stuff is absolutely fair game. But if you do need a text, these are the texts that the class basically follows along. They're both very old. Okay, so I think both of them are getting close to 8-9 years old. So you could find one for real cheap if you want it. But I'm telling you, you don't need it. Okay, so that's what I'm telling you. These are totally this. I mean it when I say these are optional right here. Okay, you do not need to buy those. All right, Pearson. Yes, Pearson is particularly. There's two of them. There's Pearson, and then if you're in like some of the IT programs, there are some publishers that do IT specific things that you know, the people who run these companies should be put on trial. So, you know, and oh my god, yeah, that's a discussion for another day. All right, so it's my goal. There's $40 for this class. All right, so you know, that's as good as I can make it. Anyway, moving on. What are you going to be doing in this class? So this is all boilerplate stuff here. I'll let you read that. Two things to notice is last day to drop this class is February 1st. Okay, so if you're jumping into the class in the first couple weeks here and it's just like, no, I can't do this. All right, get out by February 1st so you at least get your money back. Last day to withdraw is March 19th. So after March 19th, if you decide, hey, I'm just not going to be able to do this, all right, and it's not going to work out, whatever your grade is in Blackboard, that will actually be recorded on your transcript after March 19th. If you decide that by March 18th, then guess what? You get a W, all right, and then you can copy and paste a new grade over that later when you take the class again. All right, but, well, and that's still true even if you post an F in the class, but that will affect your GPA between those 2 points in time, all right? Makeup and late work policy. Here's our big due date. All right. There are only 2 due dates in this class. First one is February 1st. You need to do the initial and ALEKS assessment by February 1st. All right. You can't fail it. All right. You can't, I mean, you can get stuff wrong on it, but it doesn't affect your grade on that. Everybody gets full credit for it as long as you've done it. Okay. So that's your first due date. The second date is everything else is due on May 7th, which is the last day of the semester. Those are the only 2 due dates in this class. They're the only 2 things that I enforce. Okay. There's a design philosophy behind this class, all right, that I take from a class that I actually learned a lot about when I was an undergrad. It was a chemistry class. And the way the class worked, which I thought was a really cool way to do something where you're not quite sure how comfortable people are with the material when they come into the class, all right? And what this professor did, and this was back in the day where we didn't have Blackboard and stuff like that, he came in with like 3 graduate students and 4 dollies full of binders. And they were these giant binders like this, all right, and passed them all out. And he says, okay, everything you need to know in this class is in this binder, all right? There are 2 ways to do this class. You can take this binder home and you can turn it in at the end of the class and we're good, okay? I will grade it. Or if you show up to my lectures every single week, I will lecture on every every page in this binder, and you can fill in the answers as you go, and then turn it in at the end of the semester. Either way is fine with me. It is completely designed so that if you're comfortable with the material, I'm not going to hold you back. I'm not going to sit here and make you wait, until I get to a certain point. If you feel comfortable moving ahead, you are absolutely encouraged to do so. All right? If you are not comfortable with the material, be here with me every single live stream, every single session. I will walk you through everything step by step in the class, and you will pass that way as well. All right? Either one works, as long as you do have to turn in that binder so I can grade it at the end of the class. That's the way that it actually works, okay? And so there are no hard due dates in this class. There are no, specific, I need you to be working on this at this point in time. It's kind of a choose your own adventure, and you can pace with me, or you can venture out on your own and go slay whatever dragons are out there in the ALEKS binder that you're going to be doing in this class. So that's the way the class is set up. That's the philosophy behind it. I find over the last couple of years that this class does a really good job of doing two things. Number one, preparing you for the next class, and number two, teaching you a little bit of discipline in terms of your own time, because you're going to have to do the work. The question is, when are you going to do it? Okay? That's not a question I'm here to answer for you. That's a question that I need you to sort out for yourself. A couple pro tips on this one. Number one, make sure that you're working on it a little bit each week. That'll make life a lot easier. Number two, if you get jammed up, ask for help. Okay, I'm not going to let you off the hook for any work, but at the same point in time, I'm here to help. So when I teach this class on ground in person, it's very much so like a tutoring session. Everybody in the lab is working on their own thing, and they'll say, hey Pat, I need some help with this, or I need some help with that, and I'll just run around the room. I might answer the same question 30 times. I don't care. That's what you guys pay me to do. Okay, that's absolutely fine. But really, when it comes down to it, I also want to make sure that you're actually doing the work. Okay, and so don't and that's where people get into trouble in this class, is because they get towards the end of the semester, or they get frustrated in the very beginning and disengage for a couple weeks, and they come back and they see that I'm working on something completely different. They have no idea what it is. That's because you weren't pacing with me. That's okay. That's recoverable. But at the same point in time, that's on you. All right. So you have to be a good judge of how well I can do this class, and how comfortable I am with the material, and that should dictate what kind of time and how scheduled and structured that time is. That's a question you can answer, not me. All right. Yeah, it's kind of a cool way to do a class, because I'll tell you one thing. Every semester, and I've got looks like we got 25 people in here right now. Every semester that I teach this class in this format, I'll have 2 or 3 people who knock out the class probably in about 6 or 7 weeks. Okay, so if you want to do that, have at it. Absolutely have at it. You can crush this class out, all right, and be completely done. I'll usually have about 5 or 10 people in the class who finish it at least a couple weeks before the semester is over, okay, which gives you time to focus on your other finals at that point in time and things, and people love to do that, all right? And then unfortunately, I have 2 or 3 people in this class who will email me the night before the class ends and say, what can I do? And I say, well, you can, work as hard as you can and pray, because that's about all that is going to get you at this point in time. And so, don't be one of those folks. I know it happens to the best people, and certainly, I'm certainly not going to hold it against you, but just understand that, I'm a management professor. One of my management philosophies and being in charge of people when I was a manager for many, many years is that you realize that when you take on a leadership role or management role, part of your job is to enforce consequences. And in this one, if I don't have work after Friday, May 7th, 11:59 p.m., you're cut off. All right. So what you have in is what you've got in, and I will grade whatever is there. Okay. So that's how the class works. All right. Here's the point breakdown. The class breakdown is always out of 1,000 points, and so the grade that shows up in Blackboard is going to be what I call your walk away today grade, and so unfortunately it's going to be an F for a very long time, all right, because it'll take you a while and a lot of work to get up to the 900 point mark, which would mark for an A. Okay, for those of you who are in athletics or need periodic grade checks, I do those in Starfish, but if you need an actual assessment of where you are at the class at any given point in time, just take the amount of work that has been assigned and divide it by how much work you've done, and that's your grade. And so since the class is out of 1,000 points, that's pretty easy to figure out. Okay, you just divide by 10. So, well, actually, you just put a decimal point right there. and that's your grade. Okay, so, but these are what you'll be doing. So the first thing is an initial ALEKS assessment. This is the only thing that actually has a due date on it before the end of the class, and that's February 1st. You need to do this no matter what score you get in ALEKS, okay, you're going to get 50 points for it. So it's basically you did it, you don't do it. Okay, if you don't do it by February 1st, I have to drop you from the class because you've demonstrated no work at that point in time, all right? So that's why the February 1st one is really, really important, is so that we don't charge you for something that you're not going to do. Okay, and then so after that you'll be doing pi topics in ALEKS, and I'll explain all that in just a minute. So, but we have 100 topics in this class. They're worth 5 points each for 500 points, so that's half your grade in the class right there. This is very, very important. You cannot get through the class without doing this. Okay, it's not even possible. All right, so and then there are quizzes. There are quizzes on the chapters, and so yes, the class is broken down into chapters that do line up with those optional books. Okay, but each one of us is based upon like a number of topics in pi, and I'll show you how that works here in just a second. Okay, so but there are 14 of those. They're worth 25 points apiece for 3.5 letter grades right there. And then finally, there are 2 written article reviews in this class. Okay, I want to update these this spring, but you know, they still work. So, but basically there's a little bit of written work, and this is a little bit more of the application piece in here. So it's just, they're going to be 2-page write-ups on things that are out there going on in the wild, all right, but directly relate to some of the topics that you've been working on at ALEKS. And so we don't have one of those due. Again, those are both due at the very end of the semester. You can do them whenever you want. I will update them probably here in a couple weeks, but if you do one before then, that's absolutely fine. You'll find the descriptions for that in Blackboard as well. Okay, so HSB grade calculations are pretty straightforward. Okay, so it's all flat grades. So a 900 is just as good as 1,000. That's an A. Okay, so your goal is to get 900 points in this class, because congratulations, you made the A in this course. All right, I do have these broken down by weeks here, and that's just a rough guide where I'm going to be on these things and when I'm going to cover these specific chapters. Okay, just understand your due dates, May 7th, all the way across the board, except for this very first one. Need you to have that one done by February 1st at midnight. Okay, so yes, got a little quiet there, so if you have questions, start popping them in there, because there's not too much else to show you here in Blackboard. The only other things here's our assignments. This is where you're going to drop your 2 article reviews. You can read this. This is the actual assignment description. It's very straightforward. Okay, but when you do that, just type it up, okay, in Word, save it as a PDF, and then browse your local files and submit it right here. I think most of you have probably used Dropboxes in Blackboard before, and so that's pretty straightforward. Just be sure to save it as a PDF. Okay, there is an extra one of these available that you can do for an additional 50 points. So that's the only extra credit that I'll offer in this entire class, and it's offered to you right up front. Feel free to knock a third one out if you so choose. Okay, here's a template that you can use in order to write these. So just delete out my stuff, put your stuff in there, format it, and it'll be perfect. So that again is by student requests. Okay, and so here's our online textbook. This is a free alternative to a lot of the other ones that I found. It doesn't line up just as well, but if you use a search function in this book, it'll actually take you to whatever it is that you're looking for. I don't think it's necessarily great, but it's free. Okay, and again, like I said, stats is stats is stats, and so, you know, if you're learning about, you know, the law of large numbers, or if you want to know actually, you know, a little bit more about the probability distribution or probability function, or if you want to learn a little bit more about the t-distribution, you'll be able to find that stuff in this book. Now, the cool thing is that ALEKS will actually walk you through all this thing piece by piece and step by step. So the book is here more as a reference, more so than anything else. I don't expect you to do any work out of it. Yeah, just use, I like APA, but just use that template. It's absolutely fine. Okay, so in fact, I think that's actually formatted in APA. Let's go take a look. It's been a while since I looked at this guy. Well, that's not true. It was just last fall. Yeah, just use this. So wipe that out. Put your name in there, type the name of your article there, and then just follow this. Just delete all this stuff out of here. Okay, so yeah, double space on the whole thing. So yeah, it's basically APA, but you don't need a title page. You don't need a cover page for this one. You don't need a references page or anything like that. Yeah, no, I've tried to make that easy breezy. Proofread it, please, okay, because I am a little picky about that. And if it's one of those things where if it reads like a mouthful of broken teeth, you're going to get it back. I'm going to say, hey, come on, man, try a little harder. Punch it in there again. So, or accept whatever grade I give you. That's fine. So, but there's only a couple of these, all right, so you might want to space them out a little bit. Some people, they'll work so far in the pie and then say, okay, so here's, 100, 150 points that I can get. So maybe I can make it like, 70% through the pie and the quizzes and stuff like that, and then bump that up to an A by doing these at the end. Some people knock them out in the beginning. It's up to you. So I don't care. If I see them in the inbox, I grade them. So it's pretty straightforward. Unlike like my OB classes where there's a lot of steady work that I got to keep on top of, this one is much more marathon-y, all right? And so you just, when I see it in the inbox, I grade it, all right? Whenever you're ready to do them, you can do them. What else? So yeah, that's it for that's all we'll be doing in Blackboard. The rest of the stuff is all done in ALEKS. Okay, and so when you go to ALEKS for the very first time, click on this link here. It'll take you directly to it. Looks like this. If you don't have a sign-in, you got to sign up now. I can't do that because I already do have a sign-in. Okay, it'll have you run through like your contact information, things like that, and then it'll ask you eventually to sign up for a course product, and that's where you're going to go back to Blackboard here and take a look at this initial announcement here, or it's in the syllabus as well, and you're going to punch this code in there. That is our course code right there. You're going to punch that in there, and then it'll ask you, okay, what kind of license do you want to buy? Now, the $40 license covers the full 16 weeks because I think that's an 18-week one. I recommend you get that one. I have had a couple people in the past get like an 8-week or a 12-week license. You just have to make sure you finish the class within that time. All right, that's fine by me if you choose to do it that way. All right, but really when it comes down to it, the problem with that and the reason why I recommend you get the 18-week is you don't know what's going to happen between now and then. You might get jammed up for a couple weeks and then suddenly run out of time. If you run out of time on your ALEKS license, I can't restart it for you. Okay, so you're gonna have to go buy a new one and start all over. It sucks. And I've seen it happen to a couple people who thought they were clever. And I mean, in one case, the guy, he actually was really clever and things like that. But the problem was that like halfway through the semester, he had this issue, this outside of class issue came up that prevented him from actually going through the rest of the class. And he lost the license. And the only way to do it is to start all over at that point in time. They will not, it's my understanding they will not extend a license, okay? So, I mean, you'd have to work with McGraw-Hill on that end if that happened to you, but you just, it's like a cost savings of $6. So just get the 18-week one, okay? Trust me. All right, so anyway, so you'll sign in here. Actually, I got logged out here, so we can just do this again. Actually, I'm going to do this over here so I don't dox anybody. Hang on just a sec, bear with me, because I will show you what happens once you get all signed up with ALEKS here. So I'm going to go into Student View and start from the very beginning here and show you what it's going to look like once you get started in this class as well. So here we go. Let's move that back over here. Ta-da! Enter Student View. So when you get started in ALEKS, all right, the very first thing that it's going to do is going to run you through this tutorial here, okay? And so, yes, you do need to do this, all right? So get started on this one, all right? Just I'm going to do it here in front of you real quick to kind of show you some of the tools in ALEKS. So pretty straightforward here. So it's just like, okay, you'll now learn how to enter your answers in ALEKS. Click on the box below and type 14. So 14, there we go. Correct. All right, and then so click that, and then that's your undo button. And then you can click next, and then on to the next one. This only takes a couple minutes. This is how you enter a fraction. So click on the fraction button, and see, we get this. And so it's going to say enter 2. Click on this box, enter 3. Okay, click next. And yes, I know it's like really elementary basic stuff here, but it's important that you do these steps because invariably I get questions down the road, how do I do this? All right, and so the next one, follow step-by-step instructions to fill a region. Click on the region button, which is this guy right here. Click on that. Ta-da. Move your mouse over here. Click on that. Ta-da. Next. Okay. So, this is how we draw bars on a graph. Move your mouse into the blue circle right there. Click and hold it. Bring it up to here. Ta-da. All right, cool. So I think there's 2 more. This is the ALEKS calculator. This is the stats calculator that comes with the class. This thing will make your life amazingly easier if you actually take the time to learn how to use it. All right, so in this one in particular, it's asking you to click on this blue box. Just type in 31. There we go. And then add. And then 9, and then equals, bam. You can just do that on 10 key if you know how to use it as well. Just not in the tutorial. It's very picky. It says, hey, select this. Congratulations, Patrick, so you completed the tutorial. So there you go. That's 5 minutes. Is that the initial assessment? The answer to that is no. The initial assessment is this right here. So after you do the tutorial, it'll immediately throw you into this. And it'll explain to you a little bit about what ALEKS is doing. And the long story shortened for you is ALEKS is an algorithmically learning program that adapts to your capabilities, okay? So it'll throw things at you, see if you know them. If you know them, it won't throw it at you again. It'll assess you on that and say, okay, are you sure you know how to do this? And so here's a rando quiz on this. Make sure you knock that out. But once you knock that out, you won't see it again, all right? And it'll start throwing other stuff at you. And so say like you're stuck on something very early in the class in descriptive statistics where we talk about mean, median, and mode, things like that, and say like you're just getting the median wrong a little bit on this one, okay, it's going to start throwing more questions at you until it sticks, all right? It gets immensely frustrating for some people, but understand that eventually once you get into the flow of it and you start to realize, okay, ALEKS isn't going to throw anything at me that I'm not really prepared to do except for in the very beginning right here. And this one, it's going to give you a knowledge check, and this will count as your initial assessment. Once I see you do it, I will give you the credit for it. Okay, and then you're off to the races. All right, but this is just the tutorial. It walks you through all this stuff. I'll let you do it on that side. But the very first thing it's going to do is throw you into an initial knowledge check. All right, and so this is all not all of it's going to be review. Okay, it might be stuff that if you've never had a stats bit class before, you're going to look at it and be like, I have no freaking clue. Don't be intimidated by it. It's absolutely fine. It's just the program trying to learn you. All right, so rather than the other way around. So yeah, follow your little advice here and stuff like this. Yes. Okay. I'll get back to that in a minute. Yes. So you will absolutely be able to take. Okay. You will take quizzes until you master them. Okay. So if you take a quiz and it's 5 questions and you get 4 of them wrong, guess what? Next time you only get 4 questions and it's on the 4 things you got wrong. So take it again. Say you whittle it down to 2. Congratulations. Next time you take it, you're only getting 2 questions and it's on the things that you got wrong last time. That's how ALEKS works. So literally, if you do the work, you will ace this class. It's that simple if you do the work. Okay. So anyway, let's go ahead and start a knowledge check here, and I'm just going to play it completely silly here. So here's the first example of a question. All right, students of a certain college were asked to choose which of the 6 movie genres were their favorite. Pie chart below shows the distribution of students' answers. There are 6,500 students at this college. How many chose comedy or other? Well, comedy or other would be this or this, so just add those together, multiply it by that, and you get your answer. But I'm going to say, you know what? I don't know. Are you sure you don't? Yeah, I'm sure that I don't know. The 15% in the fraction is the simplest form. Well, 15%, 0.15. Every percent, decimal, and fraction are basically 3 different ways to say the same thing. And so what would this be? It's 15 over 100 divided by 5, so you get 3 over what, 20? And no, I don't know that either. I'm going to click I don't know. So, no, I'm done. Screw this, all right? And so for me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to nerf myself in this class so that I make sure that we walk through everything. I'm going to say that I know little. You don't get this screen. You actually have to go through the entire thing. All right, so before it actually pops this one up, I think this is just on the instructor side. But I'm going to create a demonstration account here and walk through every last topic in ALEKS over the course of the next 16 weeks with you. So if you're jammed up on something, you don't know how to do it and things like that, I'll get to it, all right? So, so now I come to my pie. here. And even though I said that I know almost nothing about stats, it still gave me a little bit of stuff here, so I'm going to go through and delete these out so we can cover them again. But this is where you're going to be spending all of your time understanding this guy right here, okay? So there are different slices for each topic grouping in ALEKS, all right? So this first one, yellow, mathematical readiness. If you did, algebra or math 101, just like last fall or in the last couple of years, or maybe you're good at this stuff naturally, you should crush this one out almost as soon as you take this class, or I mean this initial assessment, like it gave it to me here. Yeah, I was hoping that it would give me 0 so I could walk through all those. The next one here is descriptive statistics. All right, descriptive statistics revolve around two different things: mean, median, and mode, measures of central tendency, things like that, but also introduce the concept of standard deviation. So it's not only what kind of distribution, but how spread out your distribution is as well. And so that covers everything in descriptive statistics. And there are some topics in there that are pretty frustrating. The next one, so over here, probability. I'd like to see everybody working on this one by late February, early March. Okay, so that's usually kind of where we're at that point in time. This includes some of the most difficult topics in the entire class, because all of statistics is based upon the law of probability in one way or another. Then we start getting to things that look a little bit more like statistics. So random variables and distributions. We'll talk about the different types of distributions: Z distribution, T distribution, the F distribution, chi-square distribution, and how those actually, we can use those to solve different types of problems depending on what kind of data we have. Then after that, we get into confidence intervals and hypothesis testing. T-tests and Z-tests are probably the primary thing that you need to get out of this class in order to be ready for a 360. Okay. Then after that, these last two tiny slices over here, we're just going to spend time on things that are a little bit more advanced, and they're going to preview stuff from 360. Things like regression and correlation. So when we do a regression, we can actually come up with predictive values based upon given values or reserved values. And then finally, we get into things like ANOVA, chi-square, and non-parametric tests. And so all of this stuff is like, oh my God, okay, but don't worry about it. Like I said, we're going to take it step by step, piece by piece. All right, and so this is what my pilot, sorry, my mic's in the way here. Let me hit continue. So once you actually get into that, you'll get into this screen right here. And let me show you how to navigate this here real quick. Okay, first of all, so I will give you 5 points for every topic in ALEKS that you master. The pie slices are not broken up evenly. Some of them have many more topics than the others, okay? But for every mastered topic, I'll give you 5 points. The way that mastery works in this class, it's pretty straightforward. If you learn a topic, all right, which I'll show you how to do here in just a second, it shows up as being learned, okay? And then later, you're going to get what's called a knowledge check, which is a rando test, okay? The tests, those knowledge checks trigger once you've done so much work without having one, okay? So it might go a while before you see one. If you get to a point in time where you haven't seen one in a while and you start getting nervous, just let me know. I can always generate one for you. But at the same point in time, ALEKS is paying attention too, and so it knows that, okay, it's been a while since, we've given a test to, Morgan here, okay? So, or Blake, we haven't seen you do a test in a while, so it's going to barf one out at you, and you will not be able to go any further in ALEKS until you complete that knowledge assessment. If you master a topic, it's after you've learned it and then taken a knowledge assessment or a knowledge check and mastered that topic in there that it shows up as mastered. At that point in time, you will not see that topic again in this class. Okay, it's done. All right. The only exception to that is you might see it in one of the quizzes. All right, if you haven't done the quizzes yet. All right. So when you actually get started in ALEKS, all right, you just click on this. Well, actually, I'm still in. Yeah, I'm still in tutorial mode here. You'll have to do all this stuff too. Got it. So now it says I'm all set, so you click Start My Path. It's going to throw you into what's called Learn mode, okay? And so to navigate around in this, oh, you still got to do this. Got it, yeah. Okay, so now I'm in Learn mode, and I'm finally done with the tutorials. So if you ever get confused in ALEKS, just go back here. Okay, click on these 3 bars right here. Go back to your home screen. It takes you back to your pie. So your timeline and your pie. I don't use the timeline in class. You can set it up if you want to. I don't care. All right, I always look at your pie to see how many topics you've mastered in each one. Okay, so then you can go over here. You can go into Learn mode, which is the same as clicking on this button, Continue My Path, right there. Okay, and it's going to start throwing you into different topics. All right, so now the trick is to go here into your pie. All right. and just go back home into your pie here and follow the color scheme. Okay, so yellow, these are the easiest ones. Orange, slightly harder. Red, definitely harder. Purple, yeah, really hard. Anything that's blue, stay away from it until the end of the class. Okay, that's kind of my rule, or at least when you're done with the other ones. Okay, so if you follow these in order, you'll be fine. But if you go into learn mode here, notice that it's going to throw this topic at me right off the bat, and it's got an orange dot right here. This is an orange topic. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit more advanced, and honestly I have some yellow ones left, so just click this down button here, and then you can click on this right here, okay, and it'll actually show you what you have left in each one of these. And so like, whoa, I still got 3 yellows left. I probably shouldn't work on oranges till I murder off these yellows. Yeah, that's good advice. So go back into this, click on that, and it'll show you the yellow ones that you have left. Okay? And so some people get frustrated because they'll just start with their home screen right here and they'll say continue my path, and it'll throw anything at you that you haven't learned yet, okay, and that you're eligible to learn. All right, and so sometimes it'll throw something that's kind of oddball at you. Now, I'm going to tell you, since it's an algorithmic program, they are all interrelated in one way or another. So you might get a blue one, and you're like, oh, I can crush this out, piece of cake. But understand, when you do that, you unlock a bunch of other blue ones, and now you see something that's like, what the frick is this? And that's okay. All right, just use this bar right here, and use this when it says ready to learn to make sure that you're kind of doing these in order. All right, so if it throws some blue ones at you and you got a whole bunch of yellow orange ones left, go kill those off first before you start taking a stab at some of these. That'll make the class much more digestible for you. All right, and that's how I'm going to do it when I demonstrate these to you as well. All right, so let's just go in here and do a problem. All right, the first thing that's going to happen, well, let me go do one of these yellow ones. Let me follow my own advice. So here we go. Solving a linear equation with several occurrences of the variable. Ugh, I don't know what that means. So click on this, and guess what? The very first thing you get is the explanation. This is your problem, and this is a straightforward math problem right here, where it's going to give you this. Okay, it says simplify your answer as much as possible, and then it's going to tell you how to do it, and it's going to give you the correct answer for this problem right here. And a lot of people say, cool, where do I enter my answer? Well, you haven't started yet, because this is the explanation. Always read the explanation before you get started, because once you click the start button, you go live. Okay? And so let's start one here real quick. And this bar up here is your progress bar. When you fill this bar up here, that's when you've learned a topic, and you can move on to the next one. You'll be assessed during a knowledge check later. Once you knock that out, then boom, you've got mastery, and I give you points for it. Okay? So, well, let's just go ahead and try this one here. Got it, blah, blah, blah. Simplify your answer as much as possible. Let me go through this. So, of course, 2y plus 3, so we do distributive function on this, and then we subtract out blah, 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 and stuff like that. I'd figure it out, but you know, I'm just going to guess. 6. Yeah, that sounds good. No. See how I got it wrong? It says try again. Okay, so I don't have any progress on this right here. If I got it right, one of these would go green. If I got the next one wrong, it would go back to nothing. If I got 2 of them right, it would go up by 2. And if I got the third one right, it would skip me all the way to the end, because if you get 3 right in a row, it gives you credit for 2. All right, so there's a little bit of gamification in here. But if you get it wrong, just because you want to guess or try and jam something in there, ALEKS will punish you for that. Okay, so it's going to teach you to pay attention to what you're trying to do. I hope that makes sense. All right, so you're going to get real familiar with this real fast. All right, I'm not going to show you too much on it today, because we got all day Wednesday to crush out some of these yellow ones here. All right. Now, if you've done an ALEKS problem and you want to go back and review it before you do one of the quizzes, you click on Review here. I'll spend some time in here to go back and clean up some of these yellow ones. All right, so, and you can actually practice as many times as you want, but notice that you're in Review tab over here. That means you're not getting credit for anything, but sometimes people do ask, hey, I need to go back and brush up on that before I go knock out the quiz. And so that brings up the last point that I'm going to talk about today is the quizzes. Where do I do the quizzes? Well, the quizzes are over here. Click on this, and it's in assignments in ALEKS, not in Blackboard. Okay, Blackboard assignments, that's just the article reviews. Here in ALEKS, it's just these. So click on this, and there's all your quizzes. Unfortunately, they're not in order because that's just how they sort. Okay, maybe I'll try and fix that. But what you have to do is when you're ready to take a quiz, all right, understand that the quizzes are tied to certain parts of the pie. And so if you go back here to Blackboard and go into course modules. Where the heck are course? Oh, right there. Jeez. Course modules. All right. So when you do these, all right, understand that each one of these chapters are tied to certain pieces of your pie. And so module 1, descriptive statistics. Descriptive statistics coincides with the orange slice. See? Descriptive statistics right there. Okay? And so these are going to be chapters 1 through 3. All right. And so once you start chewing through the oranges, all right, once you're done with all your oranges, go knock out quiz 1, 2, and 3. All right. So because they'll line up. All right. That's the only way that I can get these to kind of line up. But at the same point in time, you know, if you're chewing through a lot of orange or a lot of orange ones here, go try quiz 1 and say, oh, okay, I know everything in here. And then you try quiz 2, it's like, oh, I don't know everything in here. Keep working on the orange. Go back to it and you're like, ah, now I got it. Okay. So, and then you'll crush out that quiz. And so it's kind of a tandem thing, kind of going back and forth. The way that the quizzes work when you actually do these, just dump in here, grab one, get started on it. These are not timed. There's only 5 questions in each one. They are exactly the same as the problems that you will see in ALEKS. Okay. Now just understand everything's algorithmically generated, so they may be the same problems, okay, but they're going to have different answers and stuff like that. They're going to have different numbers in them. They're going to ask you different things, okay, but it's all on the same topics, okay. And so like this one right here, for each variable, determine whether it's best thought of as discrete or continuous. Discrete means count, continuous means measure, so the height is a measure, so that's continuous. The number of occupied tables at Zetos, well, that's be a count, so how many tables. So the number of children, again, that'd be a count, so count is discrete. And the temperature is always a measure, so bam, there we go, continue. All right, so it's going to ask me 1 of 5 right there, so I'm going to say, nah, I don't know anymore, so I'm going to submit, and then you submit, and automatically you get your score. Hey, look at that, I got 20% right. Okay, what that means is that when the next time I take this one, chapter 1 quiz, I'm only going to get 4 questions, because the one that I got right, that topic, it's donezo at this point in time. And so sometimes you get to the point in time where there's just one topic in one element of one chapter that you're just not getting. It's cool. Okay. You know, take an 80 on it. It's fine. All right. So, but really when it comes down to it, it's only going to ask you the things that you don't know. Okay. And that's why I like this program. That's why I think it helps you. And that's why I think you do get kind of used to it and kind of comfortable with it. And honestly, it does get frustrating, but it's not like you get jammed up on something and you're permanently stuck in the class. ALEKS is always going to give you another direction to go, okay, another thing to work on. Eventually, you do get to the point in time where there's like 1 or 2 or 3 topics that maybe you've been putting off for a long time because you just don't get it. That's when you hop on the live stream and ask me, Pat, I don't get this. How can I help? How can you help me? Which brings me to the last thing that I want to talk about here, because we're just getting close to the hour-long mark here, is in these course modules, they are packed full of tools that you can use to help you with every single topic. Click on this, Module 1 description. You're on the box plot problem, click on this. Okay, so it'll tell you how to do a box plot, and maybe you can punch in the information. It's got a calculator and that does it for you. Same thing, here's another one, Chebyshev calculator. When you get to Chebyshev's theorem, which is a question that jams up so many people, look at this, I built a little calculator to help you with that. Same thing with quartiles. Feel free to use those. All right. In other of these course modules here, say like when you get to, you know, the reds and you're doing probabilities, here's one that will make the die rolling problem 1,000,000 times easier. Okay. So same thing with Venn diagrams, list for formulas for independent event problems. Anything that's in here is fair game. You can use it. Anything on the internet you can find is fair game. Just, I encourage you, share it with us. All right. If you find something that's a really cool way to solve binomial equations, great. Show it to us. We will absolutely post it up here so that everybody can see it. I fully encourage that. And finally, last but not least, you got my YouTube channel. So go on my YouTube channel right here. There's a playlist in here that is called, where is my playlist? My videos. Sorry, you're going to see behind the scenes here a little bit. Playlist. I got a playlist in here that is called ALEKS videos. Okay. So I have ALEKS videos dating back for the last year of 37 of the different topics in here. It's my goal this semester to get all the way up to 100, okay? And so if there's a specific topic that you're jammed up on, check out here. I will show you exactly how to do it, hopefully in 15 minutes or less. Some of these are supposed to be a little bit shorter. So, but you know, I start blathering on certain things, which is my inclination. All right? So, but yes, absolutely. You know, use my YouTube channel as a reference as well. Okay, so that's the course in a nutshell, and I know it might seem a little bit, well, I don't know exactly what to do right now, and so it's really simple. Sign up for ALEKS, take the initial assessment, click on Get Started, and get started. That's it. Okay, that's all you really need to worry about right now. We'll live stream here on Mondays and Wednesdays until we actually get word on what the campus is going to do, and in those live streams, what I'm going to do is I'll pick like 3 topics that are in the piece of pie that I'm working on. I'll spend the first like 30 minutes of the video on that, and then after that, we'll absolutely positively do Q&A. So if there's a topic way down the road, you say, Pat, I don't get what we mean here when we're talking about different types of data. Can you cover this topic? I will pull it up and we will do it together. All right, and if it's something that I've covered before, that's absolutely fine. I'll do it again for you. No problem. Question, how do the exams work? Very straightforward. Just go on to ALEKS here. Okay, go into your home page like that. Click on this, click on assignments, have an exam, have at it. Okay, so that's all there is to it. You can take them as many times as you want. Again, it'll only ask you questions that you got wrong the last time you took it. So if you knock it out in the first time, it's donezo. You'll never see it again. On those, they're worth 25 points apiece. I give you 5 points for each question that you answer. Okay, and so it's very straightforward. Grades in this class, I update them on a regular basis where I go through and I audit to see all the work that people have done. And so I usually do that on a weekly basis. And so, but those are entered in Blackboard. You do not need to pay attention to the grade book in ALEKS at all. I do not use it. Everything is done in Blackboard. Good question. Other questions? All right, before we wrap up here, we've got about, I don't know, I'd say about 5 more minutes before we'll pull the pin here. But if you have any questions on the course, you know, now's the time to start punching them in there, or if you think of one down the road and you want to email me, that's fine too. I'll cover them on Wednesday, and I'll email you back at that point in time. But I think I've covered everything, so get started on your pie. That's worth more points than anything else in the class. Feel free to start some of those article reviews or put them off for a couple weeks. That's fine. It doesn't matter. You know, and the same thing, exams with they're not really exams. There's no midterm. There's no final in this class. And so, you know, you just do the quizzes once you've gotten to the point in time where you feel comfortable with the material that's on that quiz. A lot of times one of the strategies that some of the students will use is they'll knock out like 4 or 5 topics in ALEKS, or right after they get a knowledge check, which you don't get any points for the knowledge check. The only thing the knowledge check does is demonstrate mastery, which is the final step that you need in order to actually get credit for the work that you've done in ALEKS. But they'll see like one topic that maybe has been given a little bit of trouble in one of the quizzes because they hadn't seen it before, but then they'll knock it out in the pie, and they'll immediately go back and take that quiz because it's fresh in their minds, and they'll just kill it off, you know, all within the same 10 minutes. And so, you know, there's a lot of different ways to approach this class. The real deal is you got to kind of organize your time. You got to be a really good judge of like how good are math at you, or how good are you at math? How good at math are you? So, you know, and really, you know, whether or not you need like the one-on-one guidance that I'm going to give you in the live streams, or hopefully in person down the road, or whether or not you're perfectly comfortable working on it on your own. I give you the options. It's completely flexible. It is totally up to you. Just understand that this is like a marathon, or it's like rowing the channel, and I'm going to do everything that I can to get you over to the other side, but ultimately you're going to have to do the work. Okay, so you're gonna have to be the one who rows. All right, and so I'm here to coach you. I'm here to encourage you. I am here to leave you alone if that's what you need. Regardless of what that is, I will provide it. Okay, and so the class itself, I understand like a lot of people are intimidated by math, and that's perfectly understandable. But the way that I explain that is like, you know, maybe not right now. This is a good way to do this. So because I don't know how many of you are going driving around every single day, but usually I would say like on the first day in class, Yes. Okay, how many of you drove here today? And, you know, invariably about 90% of the class raised their hands. Say, yeah, I drove here today. And I was like, well, driving a car is much more complicated than anything we're going to do in statistics. And they'd be like, oh, no, you know, I don't understand any of this stuff. And I was like, well, that's just because you don't do it every day. Okay, but think about it. You're driving a car, you have to take in consideration weight, mass, acceleration, you know, all the other, you know, things that are going on around you. And at the same point in time, you're probably either on your cell phone or listening to radio, so you're multitasking all this out, and you're just doing it almost by reflexes. And math is just the same way. If you don't practice it, it becomes much, much more difficult. When I was younger, I struggled with math. I avoided every last math class I could in college, and it honestly wasn't until grad school where I had to do it that I got to the point in time I was like, oh, actually, this is a piece of cake. Okay, well, and now people tell me, oh, I hate math. It's like, you don't hate math, you just don't want to do it. You know, that's fine. So just say that. It's okay. But in this class, we are going to be doing math. And so the sooner that you embrace it, and the sooner that you say, okay, you know what, actually, I think we're going to take it step by step, piece by piece. You're going to knock this out. You're going to crush it out. And as long as you're willing to put in the work, use the resources that I give you here, and at the same point in time, understand that when it's time to ask for help, I am here for you, and I'm dedicated to helping you. And, you know, I'm not going to say, oh, I answered that last week. Well, why weren't you here? You're never going to get that out of me. You'll always get, what can I help you with? All right? And so, you know, I hope that they take some of the teeth out of this class, but at the same point in time, I want you to understand what you're getting into. Okay? So that's stats, BSAD265. All right, for the course. I hope I answered everybody's questions. I'll give it about another 60 seconds here, so if you have one, punch it in there. I'll see it here. I do understand that there's about an 8 or 9 second delay between you getting this and when I'm speaking. I have that latency built in here, but at the same point in time, if you do have a question, so take about another 30 seconds or so, get it punched in there. I will answer it. But if you're good, and if you if everything sounds good, great. If you have any concerns, please touch base with me. If you have any comments, feedback, things like that, I love that stuff too. Just let me know. But if you don't have any questions, then you are off the hook. So we will catch you all on Wednesday. I'm going to stick around here for about another minute just in case there's any other questions. But other than that, we'll catch you on Wednesday, same time, same place, and kick out the link then. So look forward to working with you all this semester. Hope you have a wonderful afternoon. Take care now. Bye. You bet. No worries. Good to meet you. No problem. It is pretty straightforward. You bet. So let me know if you get jammed up on anything. I'm here. No problem, Blake. No worries. See you, Harley. It's great meeting you. Again. All right, guys, we're done. So, see ya.